Hello Aries, and welcome to my channel Tarot by Gabrielle. This is going to be a general reading for Sun, Moon, Rising, and Venus signs, looking at your connection to the person that you are dealing with and needing to learn the most from right now. We're going to be looking at all three sides of the connection, so we've got your energy toward it, their energy toward it, and the energy in between it. The concept being that there are three sides to every story. So we are looking at your version of the truth, their version of the truth, and this higher level unbiased truth in the middle. This middle section is looking at what is the deeper purpose of this connection and the best way for you to move forward in order to align further with your higher self. As I do in all of my readings, I've pulled the overall energy and clarified those messages, as well as the overall theme for the reading, which we'll jump into in just a second. But I still have a different tarot deck we'll be pulling from for each side of the connection, as well as the advice deck I will be using to close out the reading in the extended. Any information on the extended reading or on booking a personal reading with me is in the description box below. Last thing, please remember that these are general readings. They are not here to resonate fully for everyone, and they won't resonate fully for everyone. So please remember to take what does resonate and helps your personal situation and leave what does not. On that note, the whole reading can be reversed if that is the case for you. Totally fine, totally normal. Again, take what resonates and helps your situation, leave what doesn't. All right, Aries, on your side of the connection, you have You Are Enough with the Page of Wands. This connection has a tendency to poke at some inner child energy here. Some inner child feelings of not being enough for someone, not being enough for the love that you deserve. And I feel like the dynamic in this connection, kind of maybe mirrors a similar dynamic to childhood. I don't know, but I do know that there's some inner child energy involved in this connection. So we'll see what's going on with that when we dive deeper into the story. This person has different paths with the Knight of Swords here. So this person is sprinting away from this connection. I feel like they're, but not like in the sense that they're like, I gotta get away from Aries, but more in the sense that I don't know if it's a fear of commitment. I don't know if it's a lack of accountability. I don't know if it's, just not wanting to heal. I mean, the overall theme of this reading is shadow. So I really feel like this connection pokes at both of your shadows, both people in this energy, both of your shadows, because our shadow side is that side of us, that unhealed, kind of traumatized version of us that we're not really all that fond of. It's the part of us that we kind of have to learn to accept and love, understanding that we all have a shadow side. All of us have trauma. All of us have a past. All of us have triggers. It's just kind of part of the human experience. But learning to become aware of those and not allow them to control you is the key. I don't feel like this person's doing that. I feel like they kind of maybe were feeling a little bit triggered, or their shadow was feeling a little bit triggered in this, and their immediate reaction was getting away from it, kind of pulling back, not staying and facing those uncomfortable feelings that come with, honestly, just growth in general. And, our connections are always going to be there to push us to grow. It's just kind of whether or not we decide to choose growth over kind of running from ourselves. In between this connection, you have Take Your Power Back with the Temperance in reverse. So I do feel as if it makes plenty of sense, but I feel like you're pretty frustrated with this person and their behavior, especially if it's kind of this Knight of Swords energy. And I feel like that has been really affecting you, because here's the thing. If you show up with all of this love and effort and this person is feeling triggered by that for whatever reason, and so they, run from the connection, pull back their energy, sabotage in some way, it's going to make you go, why am I not enough for them? Why is what I have to give not enough for them? Why are they not willing to accept what I have to provide? But in reality, I'm guessing that there's a whole slew of things going on with them that have nothing to do with you, but it's really natural to take other people's actions and decisions personally when we don't really understand what they're dealing with. So I don't know. That's why I like to do all three sides of the connection. So let's dive into the story here. That was just overall energy. So let's start, Aries, with your side of this. You have You Are Enough with the Page of Wands. This is Aries' side of this connection. All right, Aries side of the connection to the person they're dealing with. Aries side of this connection. King of Wands, Page of Pentacles in reverse, Lovers in reverse, Six of Pentacles in reverse. All right. I feel when you see this person, like when you first met them or as you got to know them, it very much felt as if this person was kind of like your match. With the King of Wands here, you could be dealing with another fire sign, Leo, Aries, Sagittarius, but I also feel like what this message is saying is you kind of viewed this person as like a perfect match for you. Now, I feel that even though you felt as if this person was your match, I still feel as if you were struggling to get from them what you needed in a connection, because I do feel a lack of reciprocation. And I don't think that this connection has gotten to a point of like giving you what it is that you need and desire yet. And I feel like there's kind of this energy of like, I don't know if it's necessarily waiting or if you just continue to show up for it, hoping that eventually this person sees that you're enough, that you're valuable, that you're deserving of love, and kind of opens up their heart to it. Now, I feel like it goes a little bit deeper than that, because I don't necessarily feel like this person is, we'll see when we get to them, but I will say what I've come to learn is that people's decisions and actions very rarely, if not never, have anything to do with us, and have more to do with what they're going through. And when we take them personally, we do give away our power to them by saying, you're determining my value, you're determining what's possible for me in love. And we get frustrated when people don't treat us like we deserve, thinking that their belief of what we deserve is any indication of what it is we actually deserve, which is just not the case. Well, let's get more Aries side of this connection. Two of Swords. Ooh, so you are at a crossroads when it comes to this connection. Because I feel like you're kind of tired of this. You're tired of this person's running. You're definitely tired of this. So you're at a crossroads, but you're afraid here with the moon to make, I feel like there's a lot of fear associated with this decision. Like maybe it's like a should I stay or should I go? Should I give them another chance or should I just, should I cut it off? And this crossroads is natural. But typically when we're at a crossroads with making a decision, we actually usually know what decision to make. We just fear that if we make that decision, we're going to be missing out on something that could have been better. And it's really important for us to remember that what's meant for us will never pass us. And if you're making a decision that you feel is best for you, that can only lead to good things. But, I don't know, I feel like there's more to it than that. So let's get a little bit more for Aries side of this connection. Yeah, because you're heartbroken, and you have been. And I feel, so Three of Swords with the Eight of Cups in reverse here, I feel like you've been struggling for a while. You've been kind of experiencing this Three of Swords for a while. This isn't new energy, and it's kind of made you feel a little hopeless. Maybe about your love life, maybe about the connection. And I feel like you're kind of at a loss here. And I get why. Because I do feel as if there is a reason that this connection is triggering you so deeply, because I feel as if the pain goes further than just this person's behavior. It's like the way that it makes you feel about yourself. Because again, it's almost like their behavior is making you second guess your worth, because you have the you are enough. Now, the words on this card is the person you are meant to be with will love you the way you are and you don't need to change. we don't have to be more than we are already in order to receive the love that we deserve. You don't have to be more attractive. You don't have to be more intelligent. You don't have to be more healed. You deserve love for who you are right now in this moment. It's just that often we think that we need to be better, or we need to be more, or we need to, be something different than what we currently are in order to be deserving of love. But the secret is, Aries, that you're deserving of love right now for who you are in this moment, flaws, mistakes, and all. It's just that I feel like, and maybe you know that. Maybe you're like, yeah, I freaking know that. I just want this person to see that. But the thing is, you don't need this person to see that. If you already know that, you don't need anybody else to prove that to you. But it's, of course, a lot easier said than done. But when we look to other people to show us that we are lovable, valuable enough, and they're kind of dealing, because you have this different paths card here. And so I feel like what this is talking about with this person, they have this, not you, but in the reading you have this different paths card. So what I feel like this is talking about is that what this person is dealing with, that has to do with something that's completely different from you and from the path that you're on individually. And I think that that's what we have to remember, is that we're all on different paths. Sure, we're all connected and there's a lot of similarities to our journeys and, so on and so forth. But at the end of the day, we're each on an individual journey. And when we take somebody else's journey personally, we then in that moment give them the power to dictate our worth, our value. Because what you're basically saying is, this person's behavior is an indication of my worth, when that is not and never has been the case. But let's just try to understand them a little bit more. Let's try to get to know them and what they're dealing with here. So this person's energy toward Aries, different paths with the Knight of Swords. Three of Swords on the bottom here. This person's energy toward Aries. You trigger the heck out of this person. The Emperor with the Nine of Swords here. Now, yes, I am aware that this Emperor is Aries energy, but I also feel like it's kind of alluding to their energy here with this Nine of Swords. It could also be like, if you think about it, if there's a mirror here, like if this is a mirrored connection, it could be, your kind of triggering the reflection that they see in you, like of themselves. I feel like this connection brings up a lot of like insecurity for this person, which is interesting because I don't feel as if this person wants to even remotely, like they probably won't admit that. People tend to run from healthy love because healthy love requires you to face yourself. I mean, relationships in general kind of require you to face yourself, but a sustainable, healthy connection requires you to be willing to consistently do the work on yourself, and to look at your partner or the individual that you're dealing with as a reflection of your continuous personal growth journey, because growth is a lifelong event. It's not something that happens once and you're like, oh, I'm healed, I'm perfect, great, fantastic. And especially if you're dealing with someone who doesn't want to face themselves, then you're dealing with someone who doesn't want to do the work on a connection. And that's typically when someone will pull back. Like I kind of said, they'll sabotage, they'll run, from the connection. So I definitely feel like this connection triggers them, triggers that shadow side, triggers that version of themselves that would make them have to take a look at like who they really are instead of who their ego makes them out to be. Which nobody wants to do that. It is such a difficult process. Going through that ego death of kind of facing things in that way, and that's why it's always easier to run than it is to face those things. This person's energy toward Aries. Wheel of Fortune in reverse, High Priestess, Two of Pentacles in reverse, Six of Swords, reverse, Devil. Oof, okay. Death in reverse. This person's kind of stuck in a karmic path here. And it's a karmic path that doesn't require them to face themselves. This person is definitely choosing like the easy route here, which isn't fair to you. You know, I'm not sitting here saying just let them off the hook. You know, but I feel like, because here's the devil. So addiction, codependency. I mean, sure, this could be mental health issues. The devil could be so many different things. It's attachment to something that typically isn't good for you. And I feel like that this karmic attachment that they're dealing with here, it's easy for them to allow it to control them, because it distracts them from having to face themselves here. And now we can say that about ourselves too. You know, sometimes when we're dealing with somebody who has a tendency to have a little bit more like toxic behavior, when we get ourselves caught up in them and we're dealing with kind of like their issues, their problems, their toxic behavior, it actually is a distraction from us having to face ourselves. So sometimes the mirror is a little stronger than you might be able to realize. I'm not exactly saying that's what's going on here, but just some food for thought there. But I do feel like this person is definitely stuck in like a karmic pattern of some sort that doesn't have anything to do with you. Well, let's keep going. This person's energy toward Aries. Person's energy toward Aries, please. Ooh. Ooh. Huh. Okay, so they're trying to build up their ego in the wrong way. You know, the Nine of Pentacles in reverse can be like a kind of leaning towards materialism a little bit. Focused more on maybe other people's opinions of you, status, money, success, things that don't really matter all that much, because those are the things that make them feel like good about themselves. And, you know, the more that we use anything outside of ourselves, our looks, our achievements, to feel good about ourselves, the less that we actually like who we are on the inside and believe that we're valuable for who we are. And this person doesn't want to face who they are. So this different paths card, it kind of feels like they're prioritizing focusing more on a path that makes them look good as opposed to a path that makes them feel good, because the way that they look to others is more important to them than the way that they feel. Now, typically people will think that if they are, you know, if other people have a high opinion of them, then it'll make them feel better about themselves. But if you don't like who you truly are because you don't want to face those parts of yourself, then you're never going to truly feel good enough. Now, this could be taken in so many different ways. I just very much feel like this person is prioritizing things, people, situations, relationships that just like are very surface level. And that surface level stuff is so much easier to face than kind of getting deep and recognizing, you know, facing yourself. And I feel like that's the biggest thing you need to see is like this connection challenges this person. It kind of pushes them to face insecurities and things about themselves that they don't want to face, and they don't want to do that. And so they pull back and they prioritize things that don't have anything to do with the connection, which is very frustrating to you. It makes you feel like you're not enough, but it has nothing to do with you. It has to do with their choices and their decisions and the running associated with that. So we are definitely pulling cards for a pretty typical chaser-runner dynamic. But I feel like there's more to it than that. So let's see. Because sometimes when someone doesn't make us feel good enough, we go, oh, well, let me show you that I'm good enough. Let me show you that I'm worth it. Let me show you that I'm deserving. But it's never that they don't, not that they don't think you're good enough. It's that they don't want to face the parts of themselves that they don't want to face. So, all right, this is for Aries side of this connection. Let's get more for you here, Aries. Bearing their burdens. 10 of Wands in reverse, the 2 of Wands, 6 of Wands, 7 of Cups. Okay. I feel like you know this person like too well. It's like you know them maybe even better than they know themselves. And maybe you understand why they run. Maybe I said all of those things about them and you were like, yeah, I already know this. I already know that they don't want to face themselves, they don't like themselves, they don't love themselves. That's why I want to love them. I want to show them that they're deserving. I want to show them that they can have so much more, you know. You're bearing the burden of this person's stuff here. And other people's stuff isn't your burden. And I feel like it's a bit of a habit for you, Aries, to kind of take on other people's stuff. Sometimes we feel like if we don't provide value for others, then we ourselves are not valuable. And that's where we start to believe that we're not enough unless we are kind of sacrificing ourselves for others. I feel like there's a little bit of a cycle associated with that kind of coming from your side here, because you have this hope that this person is going to work through all of this, right? That's eventually the goal. You'd like for this person to be able to show up in this connection in the way that you deserve, but yet time and time again, it feels like they just kind of keep choosing the easy route, which is going to be not the path that is going to be what you deserve, because the best gift that we can give to other people, the best that we can do for this world is to heal and be willing to learn to love ourselves fully and wholly, and showing up in this world with that love. Because the more that we love others, the more we have to give to others. The more we love ourselves, the more love we have to give to others. The more we love ourselves, the more good we're going to see in others. And when we, love ourselves deeply and fully, we are able to create genuine, deep connections. And so if you're kind of dealing with more, and this person, is dealing with more of the surface level success and connections and things that don't really require them to have to face themselves, you're over here like, okay, well then I'll bear the burden of that until you figure it out, but then you just keep getting hurt in the process. Aries side of this connection to the person they are dealing with, because you have this decision to make. It feels like you've been at a crossroads about this for a while. But I don't know if there's just been a fear of making a decision or what. The Hierophant in reverse. Changing your perspective on reciprocation. What do you believe is required of you in order for you to receive love? A question to ask yourself here, Ari. What do you believe is required of you in order for you to receive love? Because the answer to that question at its core is nothing. Now, that doesn't mean that you show up, give no effort to other people, and you're supposed to expect this unconditional love in return. But what I mean by that is you should be able to show up in your connections exactly as you are, flaws, mistakes, and all. And as long as you are you have the self-awareness to be aware of your triggers and your traumas and your past stuff, and you're not allowing those things to control you, the other person in that situation should be giving you the exact same effort. And it's almost like you feel in order for you to receive anything at all, you need to be giving everything you have to another person in order for that person to see that you're valuable enough for just a teeny tiny bit of reciprocation. And that's not fair to you, and nor is that true. I kind of started off with this reading, I was saying that you are deserving of love for who you are right now in this moment. No ifs, ands, or buts about it. Now, the problem is when we look to other people to make us feel deserving of love, we tend to lose ourselves in those people and in those connections because we give our power away to them by saying, it's up to you whether or not I'm lovable, which we never want to give other people that power, especially someone who isn't doing the work themselves. All right, one more for your side of this, Aries. Because this is hurting you, and has been for a while, it feels like. Now, maybe this specific connection hasn't been hurting you for a while, but this cycle has, and it could appear maybe over and over with this person, or it could appear in kind of a cycle in your connections in general. All right, Aries side of this connection. It's like you've been taught that you aren't enough unless you're like, I don't know, giving 130% of yourself at all times. Your higher self is trying to lead you to a decision that is best for you. But it's going to require you to be willing to look at what you're deserving of and believe that. Well, actually, it's going to require you to look at what you desire in your connections and believe you're deserving of it. Because if you desire reciprocation, if you desire healthy love, if you desire, effort in the form of, people, honesty, vulnerability, them showing up for you, whatever the case might be, you're deserving of all of those things. And sometimes our undeservingness will actually be disguised as us believing it's not possible. So if we don't believe that what we desire is possible, we actually, on some level, don't believe that we're deserving of it. So we think that we have to settle because we think that that's all that the universe is going to provide us with. The more that we can look at our life, and in particular our relationships, as a reflection of what we think we are deserving of, the more that we have control over what we attract into our life. The more that we look at what happens to us as just random kind of like events that we have nothing to learn from, and there's nothing for us we can do nothing about it, the less that we can kind of take it and use that pain associated with it to our advantage. Because the goal is, taking everything that you've been through and using it to improve your life, using it to get you to places you wouldn't be able to go if those things hadn't have happened. And the same thing kind of goes with our relationships. I mean, some of the biggest teachers that we have in this life are our connections. All right, this person's energy toward Aries. This person's energy toward Aries, please. Ooh, I like the way that card just floated down there. This pattern that this person is dealing with here is kind of their MO. Like this is kind of very common for this person, this pattern here. Now, I don't want you to look at, to take that as like, you're not special at all. This person does this to everyone. But what I'm trying to get at with this person is dealing with a cycle that has literally nothing to do with you. Because this Death in Reverse card is a resistance to change. I don't feel like this person wants to make changes, so they kind of just keep repeating the same cycle in their life. Hurt people. It's just the truth of it. But the problem arises when people who are hurt refuse to accept responsibility for that hurt and use it as a justification for hurting others. Because yes, hurt people hurt others, but your hurt is nobody else's problem. It shouldn't be somebody else's burden. So you should be willing to kind of take responsibility for the things that you've been through and not allow that to become somebody else's problem, because your trauma, the pain you've been through, is not your fault. By any means, it is not your fault, but it is your responsibility. And if you don't heal it and you make it somebody else's problem and then try to use that as justification, you're going to experience karmic cycles. And so I feel like that's kind of what this person is stuck in, especially with this Death in Reverse. It's like They don't want to change. Maybe they don't think that they need to. They could lack the awareness to see that they are repeating a pattern here. They're just straight up choosing a karmic path. Like, whether it's another person or prioritizing their job or an addiction, just something that isn't good for them. I actually feel like I've done an Aries reading that is similar before, like them prioritizing something very karmic here. Aries, the cold, hard freaking truth about that is there is nothing you can do about that, and it has nothing to do with you. And the more that you can separate, and I feel like that's why this different paths card is so important, is the more you can separate your path from theirs and recognize that their journey is no indication of what you deserve or can have on your journey, the easier it's going to be for you to heal and to make the best decision for you. Our problem arises in our connections when we start to believe that both journeys are one, and we think that if this person doesn't do XYZ, like doesn't heal, doesn't grow, doesn't become vulnerable, then we're not going to be happy and we're not going to be loved. But the thing is other people's journeys do not dictate our own. Sure, they can affect ours and they can direct us in different places, but it doesn't indicate what you are deserving of or capable of experiencing. And I feel like that's the most important thing kind of coming through here. This person's energy toward Aries. Whoa. This is what's so, like, sitting here rolling my eyes at this person for you. They're completely pushing away and resisting the love that you show up with. And I think that what you need to understand is they're going to do that no matter what. Like, no matter who that comes from, they're going to push away that love. And they're going to choose people in situations that don't require them to face the hard stuff. Because with this Two of Pentacles in reverse, their priorities are not straight, like in alignment with what's best for them. And you might be able to see that. And you might even tell them that. But if they're not willing to see it because they don't want to change and they don't want to face those things, there's nothing you can do. I think that the best thing I learned is that we can't change other people. We have to learn to accept people as they are and do with that information what we will. And when people show you who they are, believe them. Even if you see their potential, even if you see who they could be, if someone keeps showing you over and over and over again who they are, what they're capable of, where their capacity is, like, believe them and say, all right, this isn't enough for me and I need to make the best decision for me. Now, of course, it's not that easy, but when we accept people's behavior out of, in the name of empathy or unconditional love, we start to tolerate behavior that isn't fair to us. And at some point we begin enabling them. And we think that we're loving them because we think that we're doing what's best for them. But in reality, we're actually we're allowing their behavior without any consequence to them. Not that we should be not that we're the deliverer of karma or anything like that, but understanding that if you are continuing to tolerate the same behavior over and over again, you are both you're basically saying, I'm okay with this, even though you are not. So unconditional love and empathy does not equal unconditional tolerance. I think I say that a million times a week in these readings, but it's so vitally important that we remember that. All right, this person's energy toward Aries. I've really been very engulfed in this reading, Aries. Wow, this person is stubborn. That Seven of Wands was like, no way. That's what it felt like to me, just not happening. And then there's the Ten of Swords, and then they end up hurting themselves. It's like they have this stubbornness, this unwillingness to change, and then it ends up biting them in the butt, and then they go, why can't I be loved? Why can't I have the love that I deserve? Or why does everything bad always happen to me? But it's like they're not recognizing that they kind of create their own problems. I think that I've had to learn to find the most amount of empathy for people who struggle with that. It's hard when you watch someone self-sabotage over and over again and then kind of act as if it's happening to them. I feel like that's kind of what this person is doing. Our trauma is not our fault, but it is our responsibility. There's always a reason for why we do the things we do. But after a while, like when someone is repeating certain behavior, it's hard to feel sorry for them because you're like, well, you're doing this to yourself. And then they'll be like, they don't want to take that responsibility because, yeah, this person, I mean, if you look at this energy just right here, it's like they're looking for a fight. They're just looking for reasons to create chaos. And I feel like this person probably thrives in chaos the most. And if what you have to provide is kind of coming from this place of, unconditional willingness to love them in the way that they deserve, and they don't know how to deal with that because it's not chaotic. A lot of people struggle with that. A lot of people don't understand how to live in a peaceful reality. So they sabotage because it's easier to thrive in chaos. People prefer a familiar hell over an unfamiliar heaven. It's just kind of the fact of the matter, and that the lack of awareness of that is where the problem arises. Because when you can understand, okay, I prefer a familiar hell over an unfamiliar heaven, therefore I'm going to make sure that doesn't direct my decision making, that's one thing. But it just feels like this person doesn't have that level of awareness at this point in their life. I'm not saying they could never, but if there's anything I've learned, it's that we can't shame people into changing. We can't guilt them into changing. We can't love them into changing. We literally cannot make people be anything other than who they are right now in this moment. And we have to learn to say, is this enough for me? Now, I'm not sitting here saying you got to kick this person out of your life, screw them, never speak to them again. But boundaries and creating distance when necessary and loving people from afar, all of these things are necessary for you to protect your heart, because you're hurting here, Aries, and you deserve, to not feel this way. So in between this connection, you have Take Your Power Back with the Temperance in reverse. I'm going to pull 9 different messages looking at the deeper purpose of this connection and the best way for you to move forward in order to align further with your higher self. But before I hop on over to the extended, I do have an announcement to make. I posted a video about this last week, but in case you didn't see it, I'm going to be mentioning this at the end of all of my videos for the next month. On April 5th at 6 p.m. Central Time, I am putting on a workshop on how to attract the love that you deserve and desire romantically, platonically, just kind of across the board, like how to find your people and how to sustain those relationships. It will not be on YouTube. It will be taking place over Zoom, and a sign up and ticket will be required to attend. So all of the information for that is at the top of the description box below. If you have any questions on that, feel free to shoot me an email. That's in the description box as well as in the description box below as well. If you cannot make the live event, because I know a lot of you live all across the world, that's okay. You can, if you sign up and purchase a ticket, a recording will be sent out to all emails associated with ticket purchase the day after. So if you can't attend the live event, you can still receive the recording. The only drawback to that is you won't be able to be there for the live Q&A, which is taking place. So you wouldn't be able to ask your own questions, obviously, but everything else would be available for you. Like, you'd have the recording of the Q&A session. You just obviously wouldn't be present to ask the questions. Anyway, all of the information for that is in the description box below. Otherwise, thank you so much, Aries, as always, for your support of my channel. I do hope that this reading helped and resonated with you in a way that you were needing today. And as always, Aries, I wish you nothing but love and healing on your journey moving forward. All right, bye, Aries.